Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're doing an updated full face of Danessa Myricks Beauty. I did do a full face of them quite a while ago, I think actually last summer, but I've added a ton of new products to my collection since then, and I wanted to share with you just a new look using Danessa Myricks because I think her products are so fun and so innovative, and they really just like spark joy for me, I guess. They really, I feel like, encapsulate, in my opinion, what makeup is. It's just fun and like creative, and you can mix things, you can just have fun with it, and I definitely had fun with this look today. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you find it enjoyable at any point. But without further ado, let's get into it. To get started on our base today, I'm going to be using the Vision Cream Cover, which is their foundation slash concealer. This stuff is extremely full coverage, so I am going to be mixing it with a couple different things. So I have the shade N1 here. I also have N3. N3 looks like it might be a little bit more of a color match. And I also have this like olive toned mixer, which I might be using as bronzer today. And then I have a white shade, which is great if you have lighter skin and you feel like most of your foundations are too dark. You can always customize it with a white product like that. And you need the tiniest amount because it's so full coverage. So I have one pump of both N3 and N1 on my little palette here, but I'm going to be diluting this foundation because it's so thick and full coverage. I want it to be a bit more sheer, although mixing this, it's going to be more of like medium coverage. So for that, I'm just using this little sample of a Derma E night cream that I have because it's a pretty good, just classic cream consistency. So I'm going to use probably about that much. So there's our finished mixture. I'm going to use an EcoTool sponge, again, to help sheer it out. I'm just picking it up directly off of the palette. And I'm going to start building coverage where I need it. This is a pretty, like, kind of sticky formula. I don't feel like it dries down very quickly either, so you definitely have some time to work it into the skin. I mean, as you can tell, it's still so full coverage, even with that moisturizer in there. If you do want to pick this foundation up, I feel like it's one that you probably would want to mix with something unless you need just like crazy full coverage. This is one of those foundations you just get so amazed by at how full coverage it is. I mean, if you've tried the KVD foundation, you think that is full coverage, think again, because this is like just will block out literally anything. So I did this set on my face. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this side, and then we'll move on to our next step. So there's our coverage. I have a ton left over still. I want to mention that the shades, I have the neutral ones. I really like the undertone. I think they're a true neutral. They don't run warm or too pink. So I think the shade that I mixed up is actually working really well. You could really customize the finish of this. If you want it to be very dewy, you can add an oil. If you want to thin it out, you can use a moisturizer. I really like the versatility of it. It's definitely a more like makeup artist geared product. I feel like it's more of like a mixing medium instead of a foundation. I mean, it's just so full coverage, which I love. Sometimes I'll use this shade T001 and mix it to use as a bronzer, but Danessa Myricks recently came out with the contour product, so I will be using this today instead. And I pulled out the shade Light 1, which isn't super cool tone, so it's more of like a warmth for me. And I'm using a Luxie Small Duo Fiber for this product. And I'm just going to start on the backs of my cheekbones and start to sort of stipple and blend this product in. This is on the sheerer side, which I like, but it depends on how much product you grab. Honestly, it can be pretty pigmented, and I feel like it works super well with the Vision cover. Blends in nicely. It doesn't seem to pick up on the product, and it's just really beautiful. Doing the same technique, but going on the top of my forehead. I don't like to contour the sides of my forehead too much because I feel like I do have a bigger forehead, but it also is pretty narrow once it gets down to my eyes. So the goal is to really balance my face, and that's why I focus, just shortening it a little bit. Taking a smaller pointed brush, this is a Luxie concealer brush and the same contour product. I'm gonna do a nose contour. I also find that this contour cream is on the thinner, more creamy side, which I prefer because it doesn't really stick to any dry patches, and especially when I'm doing a nose contour, it kind of just like glides more evenly. So now I'm going in with the same EcoTool sponge, but using the smaller side to blend everything in. And I'm also using the round part that has some leftover foundation to blend everything really seamlessly. Danessa Myricks is really known for her unreal glowy skin look. So the next product I want to talk about is is the Illuminating Veil Liquid Highlights. Now you can mix these into lotion, do them under the foundation, mix in with the foundation, but I'm going to be using these just as a traditional highlight today. I have 4 different shades. The first one is Serenity. This is a pretty just pink gold. And then this is Paradise, which is a very cool purple shift. We have Starlight, which is a white with a blue shift in it. And then I have a deep shade called Tempest, which is a gorgeous deep bronze. I sometimes use it as a bronzer. The shade I think I'm going to be using today is this light one because our eyes are going to be this deep emerald green, so I don't want to add any blue or purple really onto the face. I do really enjoy the formula of this highlight. My only con with this is they do have a pretty strong fragrance, like a little bit soapy smelling. I wish they just weren't as strongly scented, but other than that, they're really beautiful and I think work well with all the other products in the collection. Since this is a little bit deep to be a highlight on my skin, I'm going to take this shade just straight up how it is onto my sponge. I'm just rounding it out here, and I'm almost going to use this as, I guess, an under blush product. It's just going to add some glow to the cheeks. So pretty. Now that we're starting to build upon this dewy base, I don't have any of her blush products. She does have a Vision Flush, which is a liquid blush. So I'm going to use one of the Colorfixes today, which are multi-use. So I'm going to be using the Colorfix Matte. This is the shade Exposed, which is a really muted pink. And then I think I'm going to mix in a tad of the Colorfix Glazes. This is one of the new shades called Cupcake with a really cute little top on it. This is a really shiny finish and this one is a matte. So hopefully mixed together that will give us a nice in between. And I'm using this to add a lot more pink to the shade. So there's the shade I've mixed up. It's pretty muted because our eyes are going to be dramatic. I don't want anything too crazy. Next, taking my Luxie Small Contouring Brush, which is my favorite cream blush. You've probably seen me use this brush a ton. And I'm just tapping the product onto the brush, making sure it's evenly coated. And then I'm going to start stippling this onto the backs of my cheekbones, just getting the product on there before we start to blend out our edges. Going in with my sponge again to really subdue the color down. I put on a little bit much, but a sponge is like a lifesaver. I know I'm doing things in a bit of a weird order at the moment, but I'm gonna go ahead and do concealer. You can use the foundation as a concealer. It's not my favorite, so I'm gonna just grab one that I have, pop some concealer under the eyes, and then we'll finish up the base. Next, to set my face, I'm using the Danessa Evolution powder. This one's the shade 02, just my little mini size. So for now, I'm just setting my forehead and my chin. I'm gonna leave the cheeks because we're gonna go back in with even more glowy products. I went ahead and did a quick brow off camera that I'll finish up later on in this video, but the next product I have is their Colorfixes, which I absolutely love. So they come in 3 different finishes, 4 actually. There's matte, or is it 3? I think it's 3, no, 4. Okay, now I know. So we have the mattes, which the name explains what they are. They're a matte finish. And then we have the metallics, which I have, let's see, 3 shades here, which have a really pretty, obviously metallic finish. And then the last finish are the foils. Second to last finish are the foils, which are a thin glitter-like pigment. And then lastly, we have the glazes. This is the one that I mixed in with my blush to add the glow. These are like a just really glowy, like semi-sticky product that you can use to top your eyeshadow. It's not gonna be super long lasting, but those are more of like a really fun just topper product. Before we do any of those, I'm just taking a bronzer. This one's from Fesca, and I'm throwing this into my crease just so we have some sort of transition going on because we're going to be working with some deep colors. I want something for it to blend into. Now I'm going to mix up a deep green using the Colorfix. This is a metallic in Limesicle, and I'm going to be mixing it in with another metallic in the shade Mystery. So I'm using this deep blue just to deepen up the green and add a little bit more of a cooler tone to it. So I have it on my little Danessa Myricks palette here that we're going to be mixing up. So I ended up adding a little bit of Exposed as well just to make it just like add some matteness to it. I don't know what I was trying to say there. Anyway, now I'm going to take this color and basically just put it all over. Once my lid is sort of coated in that fashion, I'm going in with a fluffy brush. This is just a Real Techniques crease brush, and I'm gonna start in little circular motions, blending the shade up. This is gonna take away some of the pigment on our lids, but this is buildable, so we're gonna go back in and build that up later. I'm just trying to get a nice seamless blend for now. For being a really pigmented cream color. I do find that these are blendable and you do have some time to work with them before they dry down. Now moving over to this eye, I'm just repeating that same step. Now I'm going back in with the same shade before it all dries down, and I'm building this up on my lid, and then we're gonna do the same technique of blending it out. Now that I'm pretty happy with how that's blending, I'm going to use one of the Twin Flames, the multi-chrome pigments. These are absolutely insane, like one of the coolest makeup products I've ever owned. This one is the shade Sweetheart, and it's this green, but it has like a chrome of lots of other colors. Do a little swatch here. You do get a doe foot applicator, so it pulls this really mossy green, but you have these cool, like in one way it looks very like green, like true emerald green, but there's also a lot of like yellow tones in it. With this, I'm taking the same brush I used for my lid. Could get a clean one if you wanted. And this shade is going to go starting on the center of my lid and then blending it outwards. It's just so pretty. So I actually ended up bringing that shade more to the inner corner just so we get more of the shift effect. I am going to bring in a powdered eyeshadow just because I want to tie in the green blue tones. This is a Persona Identity 2 palette. I'm going to take this emerald green, which does have some shimmer in it, and I'm just going to use this shade for the outer corner just to add a little bit of depth so it's not all like flat looking. So I went ahead and did the powdered green emerald eyeshadow on my lower lash line, connected it, and went ahead and cleaned everything up a little bit. So there's gonna be some finishing touches. I'm gonna do a highlight on the brow bone and inner corner just using regular powdered eyeshadow, and then I might do a glaze on top of this. I'm not sure. Kind of liking how it looks on its own. Why do I feel like this is not blended? I'm gonna finish up everything and do liner and mascara. That was it for the Danessa Myricks products on the eyes, so I will be back. I'm back. I went ahead and finished up my eyes. I also added a pop of this yellow gold from the Persona palette on the center of my lids and on my lower lash line, just to add to that duochrome sort of look even more. I did liner and lashes. I will link below what I used, and I did some lip liner. So lastly, for lips, I'm going to use the Colorfix. I think I'm just gonna use this color straight up on my lips, the shade Exposed. I think that's actually a little bit too nude. I'm gonna add a little bit of pink to it. I'm gonna grab this Colorfix in the shade Gingerbread just to warm it up. All right, super easy neutral lip just to go with our more bold eye. So since I had to do some powder, I had a lot of fallout on my face. I actually still do have some just from blending the metallic shades. I lost some of the dew that we built up on the cheeks. So to add that back in, I'm going to use some of the Dew Wet Balms. I have 3 of the shades here. First is the shade Hot Water. These are all pretty sheer, by the way. That one's like a bronze, so this one is Morning Dew, which is like a clear with some shimmer, and then I have the just crystal clear one called Clear. So I'm going to be grabbing this one, which is the sheer, which has like a slight golden sheen to it. I'm just using my fingers for this, and this is just going to be like an icing on the cake. Literally, I guess. So I'm just dabbing this on top of the cheekbones to add a lot of glow back to the cheeks. And lastly, I'm also going to use a little bit of the Glaze. This is the shade Crystal, which is clear, but it has some shimmer throughout it. So this product is pretty sticky. As I mentioned before, you can use them on your lids, on your cheeks. Although I do find it's more like an editorial product, not something I'd really use in my everyday makeup. And whatever's left, I'm gonna put on my lips as well. And then lastly, I almost forgot about these, but these are Danessa Myricks' newest product, the setting spray. We have the Set It Forever Mist, which is an oil controlling one, and then we have the Dewy Mist. I've been trying these out lately and really enjoying them. I'm gonna go in with the dewy one today. These do have a slight scent to them as well, not nearly, I feel like, as much as the highlighters, but it's still there. I don't mind it because it dissipates, but I would prefer if it was just unscented. That's just my opinion. But I mean, this is pretty much it for our finished look. I hope you found this fun and helpful. It was definitely a fun and different look for me to do. So that was it for a full face of Danessa Myricks. So many fun products I got to try on with you today. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Turn on the bell so you get my post notifications. That was about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts below on the brand. Have you tried anything? Is there anything you have your eye on? They have recently been on Sephora, so we're getting a lot more well-deserved hype. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.